Do you feel that in a time when we are more connected than ever, we are drifting away from real human connection, especially to ourselves? I do. Hi, I'm Leticia Latino, and I want to invite you to join me and my very inspiring guests in exploring ways to reconnect to your essence, to your definite purpose, to what makes you tick. Are you ready? Well, hello there. Welcome to a new episode of Back to Basics, Reconnecting to the Essence of You. Today's guest is Raz Patel, a media personality, model, speaker, and lifestyle leader known for blending real talk, resilience, and wellness into deeply human conversations. With a background spanning healthcare, leadership, and media, Raz helps people move out of survival mode and into confident, intentional living through what she calls the frozen to fearless journey. She explores this and much more in bold conversations on the Raz Patel Show podcast, where she invites listeners to reconnect with ourselves, reclaim agency, and live with clarity and courage. Hello, Raz, and welcome to Back to Basics.
Oh my God, such a beautiful introduction, Leticia. Thank you for having me at Back to Basics. I really appreciate it.
Well, I'm very excited. We were talking for the audience benefit. We were talking a little bit off record here, and we were just in awe of how much, like when I read your bio and they say where your listeners can reconnect to themselves as one of the reasons why you created your podcast. And we were just comparing notes about that and the whole Back to Basics theme.
Right. And as I was telling you, and now I'll share with the audience that the title of your show just totally wowed me, Back to Basics, just because I think it was 2016 or 2017, I wrote an article on exactly that, what makes you tick and what makes you feel grounded. And I had named it Back to Basics. And surprisingly enough, I will be sharing that here on your show.
I would love it. And we can put that link in the show notes if you want. And I would love to read the article. And yeah, it was 2019 when I was on the Seth Godin podcast program, and I had to come up with a concept. And yeah, for me, it's always been about a place that is in Sicily, where my parents are from. I always call it my Back to Basics place. Wow. And that's really what inspire me and just to explore that. And I'm excited to go on this journey with you. So let's go to the origin story. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about where you're from, just a little bit of, younger Raz, and also what were you passionate about, and how that has translated into where you are today.
Right, of who I am now. I think my journey has evolved through many trials and tribulations. The young Raz, she grew up, actually I was born in India and then moved very wee age. So you're looking at maybe I was in second grade. So not much of a cultural understanding from the Indian aspect. However, the roots still remained. Just because that always stays when you have first generation parents coming here. And so in my young days, the early days when I was living in North Carolina, and that's where I grew up, I come from a family of 4 children. And when you come in with a family of 4 children, and back in the 80s, things are new and you're just starting off, I, of all people, understood very early age what it meant to hold on to values and ethics, just because I was the eldest child. And when you're holding on to that, when you're seeing your parents with one income rising from pretty much at a baseline of just getting by, should I say financially, to rising slowly to a means of providing without thinking about financial constraint, it can have a role on you and an impact. And that's what happened with me. When I was growing up, being the eldest, I saw firsthand what it meant to be responsible and be financially aware, should I say. And I grew up early just because I had to take care of everyone since I had one parent handling the financial constraint as well as another one that was not very coherent in their English language. So it became my responsibility. So yes, I grew up very fast, understood the value of responsibility. But at the same time, that's what shaped me, Leticia, in terms of understanding people. Because coming from a big family, I understood that no matter what, there's a value behind supporting each other. And that stayed with me. And the value of whatever comes to you, that substance you hold on to because it's dear to you, because something you didn't have, you're going to value. And it has always stayed with me. That's something I now cherish and I provide to my own grown kids of understanding the values of responsibility and what it means to hold on to money, should I say, loosely. So these are the things that I hold on to, but furthermore, I hold on to the value of connection.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I mean, I could turn the microphone and it will be me saying these things to you. So if, because it's very, I guess you've got your Indian, family, mine is Sicilian. I mean, these are cultures for where your worth, your morals, your ethic are at the forefront, the pillar of everything. No matter what you achieve in life, if you lose those, you're nothing. And so that as you very well say, holding on to that value.
Yes.
The sad thing, and I don't know if you agree, it's almost like it's minimized today. It's almost like cliche. And every time you want to talk about this thing, it's almost like, yeah, well, whatever, value ethics is taken so lightly.
Right.
And
It's so loosely defined now because not to sound more of the Gen Z world not understanding because they live in a bubble, but more so because we have worked so hard to provide them the best care that they're growing up not understanding where we come from. So that's where I think we are losing them in terms of values and ethics because we work so hard to make sure that they never feel constrained in any aspect. So it's a give and take situation. So yes, we can say that, oh, they're not understanding. But again, I look at it a step back and say, but it's our responsibility at the same time to define what that meant for us and give them the story of where we came from.
That's such a big point. And it's very, very difficult because I say, in my culture, like respect to the older people. Now, no matter if they are like 10 years older or whatever, and especially in Spanish, we don't use you for everybody, right? We give the elderly a different usted and tú. And I don't know how many times with parents in my school, like my kids saying tú. And I'm like, no, not tú, you. And they said, no, it's fine. And I say, it's not fine because at the same time, it's like whatever effort we put now into those things are what creates this different layer of ethics, value, education. So that can be a whole different podcast for you and me, where we can delve into that.
We'll do version 2 of it next time.
Version 2, which I've done with very interesting guests. So I read on the bio. I mean, you obviously gorgeous, so I'm not surprised you're a model. If it wasn't on your bio, it's like you should model. So what was like transitioning? I mean, obviously right now you're clear. You say my family gave me this, but how clear was it back then as you navigated a career or a lifestyle that is fulfilling to you? Like you have arrived to a lifestyle that is fulfilling to you. I hope. I am pretty sure because we help others achieve that, and it's a work in progress. I know.
Yeah. At this stage, I think I am blessed that I have worked hard to achieve what I wanted to, I guess you can say. So it was where when I was growing up, Leticia, I couldn't focus on just fulfilling all my dreams, right? It was more of a responsibility just because that's how I grew up. It's constant running and pushing myself to achieve and moving forward, because when you're growing up in an environment where you're seeing that your parents struggled, you don't want to be having that downfall in any aspect with yourself when you're growing up. So your ambition pushes you to get to a certain level, right? And when it does, you don't have that window or opportunity to say, hey, I want to focus on acting or modeling as my career path, if you may. But at the same time, what happened when I was in college, and right after my accident, I was paralyzed for a year or so forth. And when I learned how to walk again, that's when I had the epiphany that, one, I culturally, as you know, Leticia, we are with the respect factor. You're not allowed to say anything, talk back, right? And so you were suppressed in that aspect of talking back, voicing your opinion, expressing what you think. And after my accident, when I went to college, that's when I realized, no, I need to express who I am. I need to have a voice, because that's what makes me feel alive. And with that, I realized my skills and my interest were wherever I could speak to people. And that led to my journey in the corporate world, where I could be part and parcel of the corporate life, where I can speak, I can train. So it was a building block, Leticia, where I was able to understand that I gravitated towards around people and how I could support them. So it wasn't an overnight thing. Then from there, I went into my healthcare journey just because I wanted to start something of my own. And again, it's that passion of doing something over and beyond, challenging myself. So I did, and I was blessed to run them quite successfully. And it had a bit of a downfall just because I had a stroke, which is called transient ischemic attack, a mini stroke, if you may, and medically it's called a stroke, that took a step back and told me I need to reassess my lifestyle. And that's where my lifestyle came, where I gained significant weight of 60 pounds from where I was. And I told myself, this is not my life. I need to figure out what's causing this stress. What am I doing wrong? And why am I feeling the way I am? And that's when I realized we don't know how to pause. And we don't know how to hit this pause button to reassess where you are, because we're always on this constant drive. And when I did that, I took on my nutrition not as a career path, but more of understanding and reassessing where I am, and which I integrate with when I spoke to the patients or my clients, I would integrate that in terms of coaching and guiding them. And that's where my journey started with the lifestyle. And I was blessed to provide that coaching. And now things are running smoothly, and I decided to take another pivot, focusing on myself. And I'm blessed because my children are all grown up, and I can take this journey about finding my true self. And that's how I went back into the modeling world, the acting world, and just speaking to everyone and providing them coaching on lifestyle and nutrition. So this is my Leticia, the journey that I'm in, and hence I'm loving it. So I wouldn't call it a career shift. It's more of a building block from where I was. And now I utilize the lessons I've learned in my life to provide back to everyone, to give them the support that I feel like helped me in my journey and to overcome many hurdles and challenges that I went through. However, one of the top things that I always focus on when I'm coaching or whenever I'm speaking to anyone is that never, ever forget where you come from and the values that you hold on to, because that will allow you to pause and reassess your morals and values. And that, to me, always stays true.
That's powerful right there. Yes, it's going back to basics, to your essence, and then navigate out of whatever situation you're in based on that. That's very good advice. And I may say that here again, and my audience knows this, I'm in awe by the incredible guests I've had. And lately on the show, I've had like you. I mean, you share with us two incredibly traumatizing events just in passing by. Like you're not even, I have, yeah, I mean, I want to reinforce this because people that are victims or that are stuck in their victim story would be the kind of guests that would come and would spend 35 minutes or 40 minutes describing whatever happened, right? Which is very important, obviously. It's anything that's so traumatic as an accident that leaves you paralyzed. I want to know more. But in the sense also that you are not being defined by that accident. You're not being defined by the stroke. And I think this is an important reflection to make also for the listeners, that whatever bad situation you're going through right now, let it not define you. Keep the narrative, just like Raz is doing to us. You're talking about what excites you, what you're planning, the building blocks. I call it, similar to you, I call it and maybe it's my Italian heritage, is the ingredients I'm collecting to that new recipe I'm going to make. You go through life collecting ingredients and you don't know what you're going to use them for, but there's going to come that recipe that's going to be the secret ingredient. And it's something maybe you collected a while back.
Absolutely, Leticia. And I will share another story, if I may. It's that may resonate with your audience. Of course, I've shared few, but this one really hits home just because we're talking about morals and values and ethics, which translates to being of substance, right? This was back in 2019. In 2019, I walked in from a conference, so from a pharmacy conference that we had gone to Las Vegas, and we came back, my younger son and my husband, and just opened the door and just think if you were dreaming about vines, and, beautiful rainforest, like trickling down and having a peaceful music. But then you wake up suddenly and you see that these are not vines, but they're wires hanging. And though it's not a tropical rainforest, but it's water gushing everywhere around in your house.
Oh my God. Oh, gosh.
You would be frozen in that aspect, wouldn't know what to do. And in that split second, when we opened, it was the worst traumatizing situation I've ever been in, more than the accident, more than my stroke, because you're uprooted immediately, Leticia, from whatever was familiar to you. Mm-hmm. Your entire home, your entire well-being, your safety is completely uprooted and gone, vanished in that moment. And that's when we're homeless, because immediately I had to gather. Now it's more important than ever. I started looking for documents about my, passports, all that, whatever I could. And then the firemen, they came and said, you need to leave immediately. This is worse than actually having a fire in the house, because there was nothing that was salvaged.
Wow.
More than furnitures, I mean, you can always replace that. But pictures, imagine your memories all gone.
Oh my God.
We were left with I was left with 5 pair of clothes just from the trip, the conference, and that's all I had. And for months, I was so traumatized that I just didn't want to buy anything. And we were moved from hotels to hotels and whatnot. But the only thing, Leticia, that at that moment I realized, and I told my family, was that we just need to make it into a vacation. Let's just turn it into a vacation, see where it leads us, and we'll take it from there. The biggest take from that, after 1.5 years of not being back in our house, thank God we were able to rebuild it. 1.5 years, Leticia, not being in and starting from ground zero. My son told us, and it was a shock. Because I asked him, honey, what do you think about whatever's happened to us? Do you think it's bad karma? Something bad has happened? What do you think? He goes, Mom, there are three things that we should always, always respect and cherish: home, which is the shelter we have; food, because we are always nourished; and togetherness, because we still have each other.
That's
And that,
important.
to me, Leticia, stays, and I just get so emotional because of it, because this is
Mhm.
a child speaking from his heart and telling you that no matter what happens to you, that these three basics that we take for granted, we have these three basics, no matter how big your house is, but as long as, or small your house is, as long as we have a shelter,
Mhm.
that's all you need, the four walls to keep you protected and safe and grounded. As long as you have food on the table to nourish your body, you know you're taking care of your body and your mind and you're staying healthy. Third, he said, is we have each other so we can always overcome any challenges. And this is my, at that time, he was only 13 years old.
Wow. Well, the wisdom that he gained from that experience and probably the people they will become after such a trying test, right? That I think that's something I always tell my kids to, like, when God puts you through those incredible tests, is because, yeah, the plan it has for you are huge. I've always said that. And so, like with you, I mean, just the three things that you've shared that you've endured are way more than any, standard by statistically person at your age, I think. And so it's like, well, you definitely, I'm glad you are into transforming lives, connecting people and all that, because I think that value that you bring, I know you talk about survival, but hearing your story, you really, like, you were on survival mode on all those occasions, on real survival mode. Not when people say I'm surviving, I'm hanging in here. So in your view, after knowing what real survival is, and so beautifully put by your son, where do you think people get stuck as you work with people, as you work with clients and help define lifestyles? What wisdom can you share in terms of where do people get stuck
Right.
in survival, in what we define survival in our in our regular lives, which is not
Right.
the survival you're talking about?
Yeah, no, no, no. And honestly, everyone goes through so many challenges. For in terms of comparison, we shouldn't compare. I don't think. I mean, I've gone through my own challenges, but I do it with a smile. I do it with, this is just another test. Let's just force through. And if someone is stuck, Leticia, I would just say, take a moment to pause and reassess. It sounds very simple, but it's so powerful because we don't pause to reassess and rethink to bring the clarity back. We're always on this hyperdrive and we're always clouded with our vision of what could be, should be, this and that. And oh no, this life is just, I'm going through so many issues because of XYZ reasons. And, the man above or the power above is, hating me or whatever. You just come up with so many reasons and excuses. But the moment you pause, Leticia, and say, it could have been worse, that's when you realize things are actually good for you and it could have been worse. And that's honestly what has helped me from all these things, whether it was through my accident where I was paralyzed. I learned how to walk again, even though the doctors had written me off, saying I'll never walk again. What helped me to understand was there has to be a way out. When I went through my stroke, what did I say? Pause, let me think through this. Is this my new life? Or am I going to figure out what to do? It's that pause to say, what can I do? How can I help in this situation? with my house completely gone in an instant. I could have cried and not know exactly how to help my children. I could have been stressed, bitter, temperamental, just because, there's many ways how you handle your emotions. But the moment you pause, you really know how to bring your best self out. And that's the most simple but most powerful tool you can have.
And I like it so much. And you made me think of something I read at some point that they say, because we are doers, we don't know what we have to be doing all the time. And yet we are human beings.
Yes.
So we don't be like, just, sit still. And one of my favorite prayers actually is, be still and know that I am God. And be still and know there's a higher, no matter what the God means to you. It's like, be still and just know that you're part of a bigger thing. And just intentionally realize in the stillness, in the pause, in the gap that you create, in the space that you open, that there's many other things that you're potentially not considering, and a lot of different stories that you're telling yourself that are only creating in suffering, right? Like it leads you to a path of suffering, and it just, I don't know why do you think it's so hard? Like, do you think, are we afraid of being quiet and like having to face hard truths? I know that even in your podcast you talk a lot about real talk, hard truths. So what do you think it is that it's so difficult for us to be in that pause?
I think it's the pressure. We're consistently bombarded with so many external factors and pressures that are always around us that it's hard to get out of that zone and bring ourselves into a stable environment. And because no matter what, life will consistently interrupt you. It will always test you. And it will always bring the pressure down. It'll always strip you down. But that's the moment you realize, Leticia, that you remember that pressure is just a flicker of that moment. That's it. And then you can reassess and understand you have the power to hold yourself. That's it. Pressure is just limited. But you being grounded, you understanding where your values are and your substance is, that's going to bring you back to your own element. Life will always test you and it will always interrupt your norm. Always. But the way, like you're asking, to bring that stability is what holds you. How do you give the support you need for yourself? That's it. My take on pressure is I value alone time. I give myself time to say, this is my moment. I need 1 hour every day, a peaceful moment, whether I'm meditating, whether I am just in a quiet zone, whether it's be in stillness, because I really love meditating, just because I'm able to just reassess and rethink. That's my moment, what holds me. It's a way for me to bring back my substance. It might be, there are days where I have to tell my husband or my children to say, can you please go away for a bit because I need my 1 hour quiet time. And they understand that and they value that now. For others, it may be exercise, right? Or watching TV or connecting with others for their moment. It's what makes you tick. What makes you feel that you are holding on to yourself? Mine, I just want that 1 hour of peace. For everyone, that 1 hour could mean something else, but just try to bring it forward. And you'll see that the pressure is gone, is dissipated.
That's, yeah. I mean, it's all, you brought back the substance of back to basics, like thinking about what makes us tick and naming so many. So I'm not surprised And I will put your webpage, which is very simple, razpatel.com. You have a pretty big and bold vision there, which is to create global movement where self-worth, fearless expression, and emotional freedom redefine success, leadership, and storytelling across all stages of life. That is a beautiful vision indeed.
Thank you.
How to say, ambitious. So tell us a little bit about how you want to go around creating a global movement. It's very ambitious, and I know you start one day at a time and one conversation at a time. But is there anything else that we can dig deeper into that vision?
I think the vision started just because, like yourself, I mean, you have a powerful show, Back to Basics, is understanding who you are and bringing a platform for us to feel like they can be safe. I created this just because of my own struggles, my own challenges, and I sometimes felt alone, that I didn't have anyone to speak to or address, or felt like I had to hide behind this mask. And I felt if I went through this and I was hiding behind this mask, there are others who need a platform that will bring their true self out. And they want to give based upon what they've learned through the challenges that they've had to the others out there that are going through the same challenges and hurdles and how they've overcome. That's all it is. It's a matter of just coming together, holding hands, and saying we're not alone. That is my movement. And whether it be any walks of life, whether you are an artist, or whether you are an entrepreneur, or whether you are the CEO of, some company, doesn't matter. Or you're like me, just a mom and a wife, but at the same time, you are yourself. I want you to come in this space, the safe space, and just share what you have learned in your life and how others can take away from it. That's the movement, because we sometimes lose ourselves in the daily run. And it's good to have the human element back to say, this is who we are. We're humans at the end of the day. We care, we have affections, and we love each other. And through this movement, I want people to say, you are not alone, and we love you just the way you are. I'll give you a little bit, Leticia, I didn't always have this confidence. The confidence came through years and struggles of me overcoming the insecurities, right? And I felt at the end of the day, when you're struggling for so many years, nothing you do or say matters. So whether I was running in the top executive level of companies, or whether I have my health companies, I still felt I was never enough. And when you feel that insecurity, it really has a toll on you, because you're always on that hyper drive, the consistent race to feel acknowledged, to feel that you are worthy. And that's one thing I want your audience to take away. You're always going to be loved. Because right now you have to look at yourself. Take off the mask, because you are beautiful no matter who you are. And that's what I also bring on my show, to say, I love you just the way you are.
Well, that's a powerful reminder for sure. Starting also with ourselves and look at in the mirror and saying to yourself, I love you. And being your best cheerleader. I always say, if you cannot cheer on yourself, how can you expect others to be there for you? And yet we go around and we say, your spouse or your friend or these other, they don't support me. And we fail to see that we also don't support our own being. And so that you gave an actionable thing. Pause. And I also, I'm going to add one, like look at the mirror and remind yourself that you love yourself so much. So this is, it's all very good. So Raz, you share with us already, not only what makes you tick, but other good things or good ideas on what makes you think, what makes you go back to bring back your substance, as you say, which would be my back to basic. Are there any initiatives besides, I mean, I know you have, please check out, subscribe to the Raz Patel show. I'm sure it's amazing. Are there any other initiatives or any particular point of what we discussed that you like to expand or share with the audience?
Just that, going back to the basics, what we discussed earlier is from my growing up, we're always chasing abundance. We're always chasing what we should have and could have. And those are all great. That's powerful for you to be chasing things, but don't lose out on your substance. Always choose substance no matter what. And then everything falls into place. So never forget where you are and stay grounded. That is my importance. And then when it comes to initiatives, I am board director of this Reaching Out Now, which is a nonprofit organization because to me, children are very dear. And that's something I work on to make sure that I give back as much as possible to the children that need us. And, I would love for folks to reach out to me and see how they can be involved. I feel like that brings back the substance of giving back your own true self. So they can have the shelter, they can have the right amount of food, that they can have the concept of togetherness. And that's something that will always be part of my life.
I will definitely add the link to Reaching Out Now. That's beautiful. I think that the substance and service are intertwined for sure. And I would say I had a Oprah tweetable moment. I like, Oprah is one of those podcasts that I listen to all the time. Super Soul Conversations. So you say, don't lose your substance by chasing abundance. It's just a powerful statement. And thank you for leaving it with us. Thank you for sharing your journey. It's extremely inspiring. And you are as good as guest as I could have hoped for Back to Basics, being so aligned in our mission and our hope to inspire even one person at a time through these substance-fueled conversations. So thank you so much, Raz, for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Leticia, and I'm looking forward to version 2 of our talk.
Absolutely. I'm sure it's going to come up. Thank you all for joining, and until a new episode of Back to Basics. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Back to Basics. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. If you haven't yet, subscribe, rate, and review this podcast on Apple Podcast or any of your favorite streaming platforms. This is the best gift you can give us. Join me next week for another Back to Basics conversation. And if you want to find out about other exciting things I'm working on, visit leticialatino.com. Thank you, and until the next time.